Change is often spoken about as if it begins with action. People are told to make better choices, to try harder, to do something different. And while that advice is not wrong, it often skips over a more important step. Change does not begin with action. It begins with awareness. Many people find themselves repeating the same outcomes in different areas of life. A relationship may end in a familiar way. Motivation may rise and fall in the same patterns. Stress may lead to the same reactions regardless of the situation. Now, on the surface, these may appear to be separate issues. In reality, they're often connected by something deeper. They're patterns. Patterns form because the brain is designed to create efficiency. It learns from past experiences and builds automatic responses. These responses reduce the need to think through every situation from the beginning. While this can be helpful, it also means that once a pattern is established, it tends to repeat, whether it's useful or not. What you'll find is that these patterns can become so familiar that they're often mistaken for personality or identity. A person may begin to believe that certain reactions or behaviors are simply who they are, rather than something they have learned through repetition. This is where the difficulty lies. When patterns are not recognized, they continue without interruption. A person may focus on the results they're getting, frustration, setbacks, or repeated mistakes, without examining the behavior that leads to them. The connection between cause and outcome remains unclear. Recognition changes that. Becoming aware of a pattern requires honest observation. It involves looking beyond the surface of a situation and recognizing what is happening consistently. This can be uncomfortable as it shifts the focus inward rather than outward. It's often easier to attribute outcomes to external factors, rather than to examine one's own role in creating them. However, without this level of awareness, change remains unlikely. Patterns are not only found in behavior, but also in thoughts and emotions. A person may notice that certain situations consistently trigger the same emotional response. Frustration, avoidance, or self-doubt may appear quickly and without much thought. These reactions can feel automatic, as though there is no space between the situation and the response. In many cases, that space is simply unnoticed. When a pattern is recognized, even briefly, a pause begins to form. This pause is small, but it's significant. It creates an opportunity to observe rather than immediately react. In this space, the awareness can grow, allowing a person to see the sequence more clearly, the thought, the feeling, and the action that follows. Habits follow a similar structure. Repeated decisions, even small ones, create a pattern of behavior. Delaying a task once can lead to repeated avoidance. Skipping a commitment can become a routine. These actions may seem minor in isolation, but their repetition gives them weight. Recognition interrupts the cycle. Once a pattern becomes visible, it's no longer something that happens entirely without awareness. It can be questioned. It can be challenged. While this doesn't guarantee immediate change, it removes the sense of being stuck in something that cannot be altered. It's important to understand that patterns do not form overnight, and they won't disappear quickly. They're built through repetition, and they are changed the same way, through repeated awareness and intentional adjustment. The process begins with simple questions. What tends to happen in situations like this? How do I usually respond? What leads up to that response? These questions bring attention to the process rather than the outcome. They shift the focus from what is happening to why it's happening. This awareness creates clarity. What once felt automatic begins to feel recognizable, and what is recognizable can be approached differently. Because once a pattern is understood, continuing it is no longer the only option. Change is rarely the problem. It's the disruption that comes with it. The uncertainty, the loss of control, the exposure. Change threatens what's familiar, even when what's familiar is no longer working for us. So we resist. We resist ending a relationship that drains us. We resist leaving a job that stifles us. We resist confronting the habit that holds us back, and we resist becoming the person we know we could be. And most of the time we call that resistance something else. We call it timing. We call it being realistic. We call it waiting until things settle down. But beneath those explanations is something simpler: fear. Change requires stepping into the unknown. Even positive change carries risk. Growth demands discomfort, and the mind is wired to protect, not to evolve. Stability feels safe, even if it's slowly shrinking us. But here's what you need to know. The cost of resisting change is almost always greater than the discomfort of change itself. When we resist what we need most, life doesn't pause, it narrows. Energy drains quietly. Frustration builds, resentment grows, not always toward others, but towards ourselves. There's a subtle tension that develops when we know we're avoiding something necessary. We feel it in the quiet moments, the thoughts we push away, the conversations we delay, the decisions we keep postponing. Resistance is exhausting. It takes more energy to maintain misalignment than it does to move towards growth. Holding on to what no longer fits requires constant justification. We convince ourselves things aren't that bad. We minimize the discomfort. We compare ourselves to others to feel better. But misalignment lingers. Over time, resisting change can shape identity. We begin to see ourselves as stuck, as someone who can't or won't. Confidence erodes not because we're incapable, but because we repeatedly ignore our own inner signals. What makes this even more complex is that we often resist what we need most. The person who needs rest resists slowing down. The person who needs honesty resists speaking up. The person who needs growth resists discomfort. It's not your fault, it's protection. But protection becomes a prison when it prevents progress. Change threatens the version of you that has survived up to this point. It asks you to release familiar coping mechanisms, to risk being seen differently, to admit that something needs to shift. That can feel like a loss, even when it's actually expansion. Yet every meaningful evolution in your life has required change. You've changed before. You've adapted before. The difference now is awareness. When you know something needs to shift, resistance becomes louder, because staying the same is no longer unconscious. The question isn't whether change is uncomfortable, because it is. The question is whether staying the same is costing you more. Growth rarely arrives at a convenient time. It rarely feels perfectly safe. But resisting it delays the life you're capable of living. The longer you wait, the heavier it feels. Change does not demand recklessness. It doesn't require dramatic upheaval overnight. Sometimes it begins with a conversation, a boundary, a decision to stop pretending, or a single honest step. Resistance is human, but so is growth. And often the very thing you're avoiding is the doorway to relief. You don't need to eliminate fear to move forward. You only need to decide that comfort is no longer enough. Life doesn't move in a straight line. It moves in seasons. Just like the year turns from winter to spring, from summer to fall, we move through periods of growth, abundance, loss, and rest. None of these seasons are mistakes. Each one has a purpose, even when it doesn't feel that way at the time. Spring is the season of beginnings. It's when hope returns after a long stretch of waiting. In life, spring shows up as new ideas, fresh energy, and the quiet excitement of possibility. You feel something stirring again, not fully formed, but alive. Spring asks for patience and courage because growth in this season is fragile. It requires nurturing, not pressure. What's starting now doesn't need to be rushed. It needs time to take root. Summer is the season of momentum. This is when effort feels lighter and progress is visible. Confidence grows because work is being rewarded. Life feels fuller. Summer invites you to stay present, to appreciate what's working, and to recognize the results of consistency. But summer can also tempt you to forget that seasons change. Nothing blooms forever, and that's not a failure, it's the rhythm of life. Fall arrives with reflection. It's the season of transition when things begin to slow and clarity deepens. In life, fall is often when you let go of what no longer fits. Old habits, old roles, old expectations. There's a quiet wisdom in this season, an understanding that not everything is meant to be carried forward. Fall teaches acceptance. It reminds you that release is not loss, but preparation. Then comes winter, the season many people fear. Winter feels still, heavy, and isolating. In life, winter can look like exhaustion, grief, uncertainty, or simply not knowing what comes next. Progress is hard to see, motivation fades, but winter is not empty, it's restorative. Beneath the surface, strength is being rebuilt, roots deepen, identity forms. Winter is where resilience is created, even when it feels like nothing is happening at all. The mistake many people make is believing they should always be in summer, always productive, always moving forward. But life doesn't work that way. Each season demands something different from you. What looks like stagnation may actually be preparation. What looks like an ending may be the beginning of something more aligned. Understanding seasons allows you to stop fighting where you are. Instead of asking what's wrong with me, you begin asking, what is this season teaching me? And that shift brings relief. It replaces frustration with awareness and self-trust. You're not behind if you're in winter. You're not reckless if you're in spring. You're not complacent if you're in summer. You're not failing if you're in the fall. You are simply human, moving through cycles that shape you. Life asks you to meet each season with patience, to honor what it offers without forcing what comes next. Growth happens when you allow yourself to be where you are while trusting that change is already underway. No season lasts forever, and no season is wasted. Wherever you find yourself now, let it be enough. The next season will come in its own time. There comes a point in every pursuit, whether it's personal, professional, physical, or emotional, where progress slows. The excitement fades. The steps that once felt clear begin to blend into routine. The effort that once felt energizing starts to feel heavy. And for many people, this is the moment doubt begins to take hold. When the results don't match the effort, it's natural to question everything. Some question their abilities. Some question whether the goal was realistic. Some question whether they're even meant for the thing they're chasing. And in that space of frustration and uncertainty, many people make the same mistake. They abandon the goal entirely. But goals rarely fail because they were impossible. More often they fail because the approach stayed the same, long after it stopped being effective. Growth isn't linear, and neither is progress. Strategies that work in the beginning don't always carry us through the middle. Habits that help us start often aren't enough to sustain momentum. The version of ourselves that begins a journey is not the same version needed to complete it, and that shift can be unsettling. When a path becomes difficult, it's easy to assume something's wrong. But difficulty is not always a sign to quit. Sometimes it's a sign to adapt. Think about any meaningful pursuit. Someone trying to get in shape may hit a plateau, even with consistent effort. Someone building a business may reach a point where their usual methods no longer produce results. Someone working on their mindset or emotional growth may feel stuck even after months of progress. These moments don't mean the goal is unworthy or unreachable. They simply mean the current approach has carried them as far as it can. It's in these moments that reevaluation becomes essential. Stepping back is not the same as stepping away. Reflecting is not the same as giving up. Reassessing doesn't signal weakness. It signals maturity. It shows a willingness to grow, to adjust, and to meet the goal from a new angle, rather than forcing the same method again and again. Doing the same thing repeatedly and expecting different results leads only to frustration. But shifting the approach, trying new strategies, learning new skills, or changing how we show up, opens doors we didn't realize were there. The emotional side of this process matters. It's discouraging to work hard and feel stuck. It's exhausting to pour effort into something without seeing the outcome you hoped for. These feelings are real and valid, but they are not the whole story. Because feeling lost does not mean you are lost. Feeling stuck doesn't mean you're failing. Feeling uncertain doesn't mean the goal is wrong. It simply means something needs to evolve. Not the dream itself, but how you're moving toward it. Every meaningful journey involves this kind of recalibration. Athletes change their training approach. Entrepreneurs refine their strategy. Artists, they shift their technique. Individuals striving for personal growth adjust their habits and routines. These changes are not signs of defeat, they are signs of wisdom. A new approach can reignite momentum. It can reveal solutions that weren't visible before. It can help you grow into the person who can achieve the goal you set out for. Someone more capable, more adaptable, and more resilient than when you began. If you're frustrated, exhausted, or questioning your path, pause before you walk away. Step back, breathe. Look at what's working and what isn't. Then adjust your direction, even slightly. A small shift in strategy can create an entirely different trajectory. Goals remain steady, approaches evolve. And the moment you allow yourself to adapt, you reclaim your ability to move forward. Sometimes the next breakthrough doesn't come from trying harder. It comes from trying differently. We all carry a story inside of us, a story about who we are, what we're capable of, and what our future looks like. Some of those stories are empowering. They tell us we can rise, we can grow, we can succeed. But for many people, the story in their head is filled with doubt, fear, or limitations. Truth is, the story you tell yourself shapes the life you live. If your inner narrative says, "I'm not good enough," then every challenge feels heavier. Every failure feels final. But if your story says, "I'm learning, I'm growing, and I can handle this," then setbacks become lessons, not endings. That's the power of rewriting your inner narrative. It's the mental map that guides you through life, especially when things get tough. Now let's be honest. Most of us didn't write our first stories. They were shaped by family, teachers, friends, and even failures from the past. Maybe someone told you that you'd never succeed. Maybe a mistake made you believe you're not capable. Over time, those words and experiences become the voice in your head. And unless you change it, you'll keep following a map that leads you nowhere new. But resilience is about picking up the pen and writing a different story. It's about saying, yes, life is hard. Yes, I've been knocked down, but my past does not define my future. That's the mental map of resilience, not ignoring your pain, but refusing to let it control your direction. If you want to change the story you're hearing, then here are the steps. First, recognize the old narrative. Pay attention to the phrases you repeat to yourself. Are they filled with "I can't," "I'll never," or "I'm not enough"? Awareness is the first step to change. Second, challenge those beliefs. Ask yourself, where did this story come from? Is this really mine, or was it handed to me? More often than not, the doubts you carry aren't truths. They're echoes from someone else's voice. Third, replace the script. When the old narrative shows up, rewrite it in real time. Instead of "I always fail," say "I'm still learning." Instead of "I'm not strong enough," say "I've survived hard things before, I can do this too." And finally, live the new story out loud. Don't just think it, act it. If your new narrative is "I'm capable of growth," then take steps that prove it. Each action reinforces the new map until one day the old map isn't even visible anymore. Let me give you an example. Imagine two people lose their job. Now, the first person's story is, "I'm worthless without work. I'll never find anything better." So they shrink, they give up, and the story becomes true. The second person says, "This is hard, but it's not the end. I'll learn from this and I'll find something that fits me better." That belief drives them to apply, to grow, and eventually to succeed. Same situation, different story, completely different life. Your inner narrative is like a compass. If it points towards despair, you'll walk that way. If it points towards resilience, you'll move forward even through the storms. No matter how long you've carried the wrong story, you can always write a new one. It's never too late. Resilience isn't about pretending everything's fine. It's about acknowledging the struggle and still choosing to keep writing. Your resilience begins with your narrative, and the pen is always in your hands. It's not a matter of talent, and you don't need more hours in the day. It's not about motivation. You just need the discipline to say no. No is the gatekeeper to your time, your energy, and your purpose. But too many people spend their lives saying yes to everything. Yes to things that they don't want, don't believe in, or can't afford. Every yes you give away without a thought is a no to your goals. Yes to the party, no to rest. Yes to junk food, no to health. Yes to the unnecessary meeting, no to progress. Yes to people pleasing, no to your peace. The discipline of saying no is not about being negative or selfish. It's about being strategic. It's about being honest with what matters most to you. It's about protecting your mission from the noise of the world. When you're ready to start, follow these steps. First, pause. Ask yourself, does this align with my goals, my values, and my purpose? If the answer is no, then your response should be no too. At first, it's going to feel uncomfortable. People won't always like it. You might feel guilty or you fear missing out. But that discomfort is the price of freedom. Because with every no to the wrong thing, you create more space for the right one. Discipline isn't just about grinding through workouts or waking up at 5 a.m. It's also the quiet, powerful moment when you look at something and walk away. Not because you're weak, but because you're focused. Not because you're selfish, but because you're clear. So stop scattering your energy. Start filtering your decisions. And understand this, saying no isn't closing doors. It's opening the ones that truly matter. So say no with confidence. Say no with love. Say no with purpose. Your peace deserves it. Now watch your life transform.